32nd Indian Paint Conference recently took place in Kolkata, the city where it all began in 1902. Organized biennially by the Indian Paint Association, the event serves as a global platform for industry professionals to connect and collaborate. Graced by stalwarts of the Indian paint industry, the conference featured insightful discussions, including a special panel on the future of the paint industry in India, aligned with its theme, Allure, Palette of Charm and Innovation.
I'd like to begin the panel by talking about the legacy. Mr. Abhijit Roy, Berger Paints has had a huge legacy, and 100 years, a century has been hit as well. Talk to us a little bit about the journey so far.
It's been a long journey. Actually, 1923 is when we started with our factory in Howrah, and it's been now 100 years that we have just touched. We have painted most of the iconic structures here in Calcutta, so from that perspective, it's been a good journey so far.
What are some of the master strokes that Berger Paints have really painted in the last couple of years that your new peers can really learn from?
First was, I think, the color bank tinting system which came into existence, and that is related to colors in the decorative section. Earlier, it used to be direct colors being sold from the factories to the, warehouse and then on to the dealers. And it always used to be a problem of, being able to supply the shades on time, or the colors on time. So most of the customers used to be, going to a shop, you won't get that particular shade, or she won't get that shade that they want because it is not available. The tinting system came into existence. It was brought into India by a company called Jensen Nicholson. No longer exists, but we were the second, to get into this game. And that was a big transformation. Today, there is no dealer who doesn't have a tinting machine. The second, I think, is in terms of doing the job. Express painting was something which we brought into this country. This is a service which we provide to consumers of doing the job very fast, and doing it efficiently with automatic machines. We set up a lot of training centers for the painters, and therefore, migrated it from a very influencer-driven segment to somewhat closer to the customer, So that's something which I think we are all, which we contributed to the industry at large.
Color is something that really invokes a memory. And any vivid memories you have as a paint industry, but also as a consumer, all of us, if you could share your experiences in the past.
For me, the color has its own significance. We have a line called Paint Your Imagination. So when we first came in with this logo and the line, what we did was, paint the Taj Mahal with colors, and which is an imagination which you are using. Taj Mahal is always white, right? It has no color. But we put purple and magenta color on it. In fact, in our own head office, we painted with that same color of purple and magenta. And those two colors were something which was not very popular in India. It used to be normally pastels and other types of colors. We were bold enough to take that step and, create a name for itself.
See, I would like to say, if you ever think when a child is born, the first thing he or she learns is identifying colors. And the imaginative power starts from colors only. So color is so important in our life.
Let's dive right in and talk about, how this industry has really grown from strength to strength. And if we talk about what the future of the paint industry could mean, what is the way forward? Is it going to be more focus on distribution, capex? What exactly will drive the growth going forward from here?
I see the future of this industry is that with the entry of new players, the market will definitely expand because they are going to participate in terms of creating more awareness, and therefore the consumers or customers who are less engaged or not engaged, they also will get engaged. More and more services, I think the paint industry is a very evolved. So, a lot of new innovations will happen, and all this will help the consumer, and therefore, industry will grow further. The size of the industry is good. The per capita consumption is still low, whether it's decorative or industrial paint, and therefore long-term prospect of the industry in terms of growth is quite good. and therefore this industry has a room for more number of players. But I think in this situation, I definitely foresee the quality of products, the services, the efficiencies in the industry will go up, and that is going to be very good for the industry per se and also for the consumer.
When Birla Opus launched, everyone called it the Geo moment of the paint industry. Talk to us a little bit about Birla Opus and the launch.
We are focused on setting up our business. So we have to develop our distribution, we have to build our brand, we have to acquire dealers, we have to build a large, vibrant company.
Any targets on market share?
Yeah, like I said, we have publicly declared that we want to exit this financial year with a high single-digit market share.
AkzoNobel has been in the headlines lately, and there's been talks of acquisition, a big M&A coming through for this industry. Your thought on that?
I think in AkzoNobel's moment it's to say, we've been on this journey since Akzo acquired ICI in 2009, right? And in the paints business, we are still number 4. We are the only profitable number 4. So really, when we started looking at strategy, we said, look, if we continue to do the way we are, and India, the market is overheated, the market, the valuations and capital, if you tie up or you want to acquire a larger player, you end up with a lot of debt. So we said, look, why don't we do a bit of a strategic review? And I think I support that initiative. AkzoNobel is a company that cares for its employees, cares for its partners, and cares for the ecosystem. And coming to the strategic review, we will take it as it comes. But right now, we are focused on the business. We are focused on continuing to deliver great value. We've done the new Parliament House. We've done the Nita Mukesh Ambani Cultural Center. We have done 3 of the 4 international airports. Some of you rate the Bangalore airport and Mumbai airport world class. We've done the entire painting using liquid powder for that, right? Remember, AkzoNobel's brand in marine and protective. We won, right, when the World Trade Center was sort of devastated. Yeah? We also did a pilot to really show the power of our brand. If our brand was used, 1,000 lives could have got saved. And right now, all, the world-class equivalent of Pentagons are using our brand. So that's where we are. We are here to make a difference to the society and also to try to win.
Just looking on the coatings industry from a bit abroad, from Europe into India, and I have to say, India really is, for us, the most vibrant and most interesting country to do business. And hopefully we supply to all of you guys. So therefore, it's really nice to see how the country developed. Also, you still have a quite low per capita paint consumption if you compare it to Europe or you compare it to USA or Korea. So you have a long way to go, but if I come every year to India, you see a lot of infrastructural projects, new airport, you see the metro is upgrading. So you have all these infrastructural projects and they need to be coated. They need to be protected, and especially here in that environment. You have high humidity, you have high temperature, sometimes you have also areas where you have dust and sand and so on, so you need to protect the coatings, and so therefore that's an ideal playground for a coating manufacturer and also a raw material supplier, because you can really contribute, and India is an ideal playground to do business currently.
Touching upon the consumption side of things, it is cyclical. Post-rainy season is the time when, consumers do think of getting a renovation, a repainting. As far as consumption and demand growth is concerned, what part of it will drive the growth? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually you're right. The painting happens in a home that's a larger part of the market. So it happens when there is some repair happening in a home, right? And the other one is like an occasion or a festival which happens. So that's the repainting cycle. So we have 2 repainting cycles, which is happening in the first half during the April, May, June, and then the second during the festive season. So that's how the repainting cycle happens. Repainting in India happens. And then, of course, the new construction, which is another major chunk. And I believe the infrastructure development, what is going to happen, I think that new construction painting will be in a much larger scale going forward.
Per capita consumption in India, like you mentioned earlier, is one of the lowest at 3.5 kgs. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Per capita of India will always be lower because of the population, and even though the GDP is improving, but the population base is very large, and therefore if you look at from per capita consumption perspective, it will always look low. In India even today, it is basically 300 million odd population who consume items like paint. The rest are outside the purview, and therefore the per capita consumption doesn't shift significantly higher in the short run. However, it can be improved. One can, be innovative on that front. With more innovation, with more interest from the customer perspective, if you give something very interesting, innovative on the wall, which looks, different, if you can do it yourself, maybe, that is a segment which hasn't opened up as yet in India. But if people start doing it on their, in their rooms, one wall, maybe painting it, the consumption per se will go up. In decorative, about 75-80% is, repainting. New buildings are doing quite well in India as of now, so that part, is going well. The repainting needs to improve in terms of the number of years required for the repainting to happen. Possibly more innovation on that should help. A lot of things have been done in the industry. Texture finishes on the wall, which is there, which many companies now, provide.
Decorative paint business has, of course, been the key growth driver for all of these years. But India is now looking at an EV revolution. For the industry to go ahead, do you think we need to also look at that side of the sector? And will that drive the growth for the next few years?
I think, the industrial side will keep improving in India as far as India is concerned, though the decorative also has a huge prospect. So the percentage may not change too much in terms of the ratios that exist, but industrial will have, possibly a good growth rate in the coming years. There are three broad areas there. One is the protective and general industries. This is related to infrastructure. A lot of money is being spent by the government on infrastructure, whether it is ports, airports, roads, whatever you have. Berger, fortunately, is the leader in that category for long years now, from the 80s possibly, and we continue to remain there in a leadership role. So we see a traction there in that particular domain of general industries and protective coatings. As far as the other area is concerned, which is automotive and then powder coatings, those are also growing, and those are more linked. The general industries and powder is very much linked to the industrialization of the country. As it industrializes much more, and hopefully with Trump coming in, possibly we will see some movement away from China into India. The industrialization pace will pick up, and therefore the general industries powder category will also do much better in the coming years. Auto, of course, is related to some extent to the consumer demand for cars, which is somewhat discretionary in nature. It follows its own cycle. Anuj will be better placed to talk about that, but there has been movement there. The two-wheeler category, for example, wasn't doing all that great, but started doing better now. The same holds true for commercial vehicles as well, relatively started moving up. As far as the four-wheelers are concerned, it was doing well, but he can tell better what's the current status.
First on the EV, I have a different take, because even now the penetration of electrical vehicles in four-wheeler is maybe 1 or 2%, and two-wheeler it is higher, maybe highest in three-wheelers. But if you look at any country, other than India also, I think Norway is one example where the penetration of EV is the highest. But all countries have seen that wherever the government gives the subsidy, that time the sale of the EV picks up. And whenever the subsidy is removed, taken away, the sale really comes down. Because unfortunately, as of now, the EV does not make economic sense. So it makes a different sense, but economic sense it doesn't make for the manufacturers. So I don't know for how long the government can keep giving subsidy and keep pushing the sale of EV. And that's why a lot of manufacturers are working on the hybrid model, and I think that's something where I see more potential, that yes, the climatic concerns need to be taken care of, environment concerns needs to be taken care of, but I think going forward we'll see a better elevation in the hybrid rather of EV. Otherwise, industrial, yes, all parts of industrial, whether it's like automotive, where we are the market leader, and we are definitely seeing. I was giving you statistics that the penetration is still lower, and the way the government is spending on the infrastructure, the way the infrastructure is growing, we definitely see that the growth in industrial is also going to be very good. High performance coating is picking up. Today, when if you look at this railway, the complete transformation. Earlier used to provide low quality alkyd paint, and today if you see Vande Bharat, where we are supplying high quality paints, and those colors like white, orange, blue, comes from us also. And if you see the coastal road, there we are supplying some of the paint where we are giving a warranty guarantee of 25-30 years. That's the kind of technology what we are providing, and that's the kind of coating which definitely industrial segment require. I definitely see a very good potential in the industrial segment.
If you could weigh in on decorative versus the industrial or commercial business, your thoughts on the commercial side as well, since we are going through a transformation, an EV revolution, etc.
I think the growth opportunities in both the industrial and the decorative are huge. So to get into the industrial side is a little more technology intensive, especially the kind of industrial paints that would grow in India. They would be generally IP protected products, and therefore you would probably require some foreign tie-ups, international certifications that have stood the test of time. Rajiv was talking about fire retardant paints, that if the Dulux brand of fire retardant paints had been used in the World Trade Center, and the new data centers and the GCCs that are coming up, what I understand is that the specification is that in case a 9/11 kind of an attack took place there, you need a minimum of 2 hours for the structure to be stable to evacuate the people. Now, those are kinds of paints that you put, which could be a few millimeter thick, but in the event of a fire, can expand to 10 inches and provide protection to the structure. Now, these are not kinds of paints that you can develop in-house very rapidly. So, of course, if some opportunity were to come about for some IP-protected products like this, probably at a global scale, who wishes to enter India or tie up with someone in India, we'd be open for that. And definitely that is a growth possibility in India. But I sincerely doubt whether the equation of 75% decorative and 25% industrial is going to have a meaningful change in the next decade or so. May shift a few percentage points here and there, but I think decorative paints are there to stay as the mainstay of the paint sector for a long, long time.
Are you setting a target for the industry going forward for the next 5 years, especially when we're talking about a Viksit Bharat? What does the paint industry have to offer for that acceleration of the economy?
We expect the industry maybe by 2047 to actually be 3 times the size of what it currently is, especially in the area of innovation, especially in the area of R&D. How do we ensure that we get superior technology into the country? How do we ensure that better coating systems are developed, because India is accelerating in terms of infrastructure development, and we require a kind of coating technology which possibly in the last 10, 15, 20 years we've not actually seen it. There's a completely huge unknown in front of us, and therefore a lot of collaboration and competition is required to actually try and ensure that we as an industry actually respond to the needs of the country.
2025 and going forward, is it going to be value growth or volume growth is your expectation?
My opinion is that, we have had long years, 25 years almost of double-digit growth. There's been a little bit of a slowdown in the last about 1.5 years. A part of that is because of the price drop which we took. The value sales therefore looks, much lower than the volume growth. We had a 5% price drop last year, which kept us bugging, as Rajiv was mentioning. And as a result of that, the volume value gap, if you're growing at 10%, you see 5% on paper. Yes, there has been a little bit of a slowdown. You also have to factor in the fact that there are unlisted players who are there in the market now. So that eats into about 3% of the total growth rate that was available, right? Given the fact that the economy is growing well, the decorative business continues to grow, at a reasonable pace. The industrial is looking up much more, than what it used to be earlier. Due to Make in India, due to the spends on infrastructure, in general, the industrial category is doing better. So overall, if you combine decorative plus industrial plus the construction chemical, I am optimistic that we should be able to go with the double-digit growth rate.
The MSME sector in India is also trying to coexist with the large companies. The paint industry is a very exciting industry. All the challenges are always there, but we always try to overcome them collectively. Thank you.
So on a very good note, there is room for all of you present in this hall today. So more power to the industry. Thank you so much.